9:04 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning. Welcome into the Chris Hand Show. Tons to go over today, but, Mac is back.
Woo! Hello. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Glad to be here.
3 days late to the party.
Sorry. I felt terrible yesterday. I'm sorry.
Are you just avoiding the inevitable?
I thought that I had already avoided it. You're on your nice beach trip. I'm going, okay, I'm good. My Chiefs lost again, but he's not here. He's enjoying his family. He's going to forget about this.
Literally took a timeout from family time, too.
to find this material.
To check the score of the Chiefs game. Like, I don't care about anything else going on. I need to know if I have a burn waiting for Mac. Now, I only went 1 for 1. You guys, you won the other game.
Yep, beat the Bengals. Yep.
Yeah, so no Bengals song. But I've been having this song holstered for you. You know what I mean? It's burning a hole in my pocket, as the kids say.
It's the Raiders.
It's burning a hole in my pocket, baby. So,
gosh,
I just I feel like without further ado, I need to bring to you the latest song for Mac Maury's Big L playlist. That's what I'm calling it from now on.
The Big L playlist?
The Big L playlist. Not to be confused with Big L the rapper, but just, the big L's that the Chiefs take all year. Before the playoffs, we need to do a recap.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
All right.
The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song, he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won.
Raider Nation, let's go, let's go. Raider Nation, let's go, let's go. Raider Nation, are you ready for some football? You ain't ready for no football.
Chiefs are ready.
You ain't ready for the Oakland Raiders. It's the invasion.
Dang it, why does this sound good?
It's Ice Cube.
Ready for some football? You ain't ready for this football. Here we come, baby. Just win, baby. Feel the storm of the cold autumn wind, baby.
Yeah,
it's
baby.
the Oakland Raiders. Get your mouthpiece. You in the black hole with the black beast. This ain't black gold, this is black silver. Commitment to excellence, we deliver.
Ooh.
And we'll play past
Oh, you get
regulation.
sweaty. I can see it.
It's the invasion of the Raider Nation. Let's go, let's go. Raider Nation. Let's go, let's go. Raider Nation. Are you ready for some football?
All right. Okay. We get it. We get it. We get it.
Okay.
Happy New Year. Thank you. That's
Happy New
lovely.
Year.
Yeah. You know what?
Yeah,
it
makes sense.
It does. Thank you, Kennedy. Gosh.
I was so excited for this one. Because it's Ice Cube.
Yeah.
Ice Cube's pretty based.
It starts off pretty cool, and then the beat drops. That's pretty cool.
Nation. Raider Nation.
It's not Midwest polka. But I feel like the Midwest polka, the bar was set so high.
Yeah, it's hard to beat that.
It's like, I don't think we're going to top the Midwest polka.
John and Lawrenceburg, I echo this statement. This is the worst one yet. Hurting my ears.
Raider Nation.
Oh, sorry. This is the worst one yet. Who else we got left in the regular season? Because I feel like it can get worse. I don't want to.
Only one more game. And we might lose it because we're not going to play any of our starters.
Ooh, so you're saying there's a chance
There's
we got another
chance,
song?
Yep. Chargers.
Who's it? All
Chargers,
right.
yeah.
Chargers probably have a lousy song.
Yeah.
Dude,
Probably.
I mean, like, their fan base is lame.
Yeah, it's non-existent.
Yeah, so, like, the song has to be bad.
It's at L.A., the game, but I think it'll be still 60% red in the stands.
Raider Nation.
All right.
All right. Can we add that to the hotkeys just for random?
Absolutely not.
Just for random, yeah.
Raider Nation.
No.
No.
I get very little authority. The hotkeys. No.
Raider Nation.
I mean, it's pretty good. It's like, as far as like little bites go.
Little bites, yeah. It's got a nice
that
one.
might be the crunchiest little bite that we got.
Raider Nation.
Terrible game.
It's like picking a scab that's like, I was almost healed.
It was. I felt good. Yeah, I was like, cool. It's going to be fine. Forget that terrible game. Christmas Day, by the way.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad we got that out of the way.
Oh, me too.
Are you?
Love it. Yeah.
Raider Nation.
Almost out of the way.
We'll probably do it a couple more times. Brian says, Raider Nation, don't.
Raider Nation.
Okay. All right. John says polka, and then the greater than sign.
Yeah.
Rap. And I don't like polka.
Yeah, I could agree. There's some rap though. Not Raider Nation. Not that one.
No. It's pretty good though.
Heard you clicking. I feel like you're ready for.
I'm.
He's getting his cursor back to the.
You heard me move my cursor.
Raider Nation.
All right. Yeah, it's like that's me like cocking back,
Exactly.
pulling back the hammer. That's what Mac hears.
Raider Nation.
All right. 0397 said, we have the best song. Go Pack. Yep.
That one was great.
Yeah, that was that was an all-timer.
That was great, and that's even after taking the L. That one was good.
Yeah, that's one that I might listen to in my free time.
Yeah, exactly.
Football aside. It was just a good tune. 8410 said, stop already, annoying.
Raider Nation.
Okay. That was my last one, I swear.
Raider Nation.
I broke my own rule. All right, go Pack, go. Who are you guys going to make the playoffs? Is that going to happen?
We're locked in. Won our division 8th year in a row, I believe. Yeah, second longest streak ever behind your Patriots, who won it 11 times.
Yeah.
So yeah, locked into the 3 seed. That's why we won't play our starters next week.
I really don't like Travis Kelce. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did. I was aware.
Like, dude, you see the New Year's Eve pics with him and Taylor Swift?
I actually didn't, surprisingly.
Ugh.
It's just pictures of them smiling, having a good time, and you just hating it. They're enjoying their life, Chris.
Like they're out and about, like being regular people.
Oh my
Get it
god!
out of here. Nobody wants to see
No
you.
one cares.
Nobody. Like I'm trying to do show prep for a political show, and I have to see Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Go get your booster or something. Do something with your life. I don't have any time for this. But Taylor Swift, I mean, we're going to be seeing her a lot this year as she gears up for the presidential election of 2024. I mean, she's pretty much the only thing the Democrats have going for them. That's it. Just Taylor.
It's big spokesperson. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, nothing else is going the Democrats' way. And, we have Joe Biden just flip-flop, flopping in the polls. He's losing voters left and right. It's crazy. I called this a long time ago. The support among the black community and the Hispanic community and the young community, super low. Trump is stealing so many of those voters. And I'm sorry, you can like DeSantis, you can like Haley, but they're not going to gain that support in the black community that Trump has. And it seems like a lot of people are coming around to the fact that Trump is going to be the nominee. In fact, he landed another major endorsement from Steve Scalise just yesterday. Scalise nod comes as former President Trump faces attempts from states to remove him from the primary ballot. You missed that yesterday. We were talking about the Maine Secretary of State, Shanna Bellows, fully embraced the dink lifestyle.
The dink?
The dink lifestyle.
Oh, you got to catch me up on that.
Double income, no kids. Shanna Bellows is such a radical feminist. She didn't even take her husband's last name. I feel bad.
The dink lifestyle.
It is the dink lifestyle.
That's
People are
hilarious.
doing it's the thing. It's the thing, the dink lifestyle. She's probably got a cat, though.
Yeah, multiple.
Multiple.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, have you seen a picture of her? Google a picture of Shanna Bellows. It's SHENNA Bellows, BELLOWS.
Oh,
Fact check this for me. Does she or does she not look like a Wynot? Fact check that, Mac. She's the Maine Secretary of State who has nothing going for her. She's just an absolute loser. Anyway, enough about that dink. Trump is also predicting that the Fed will lower rates to help Joe Biden. This is, and I've been saying this. My wife is kind of getting annoyed with me, full disclosure, Because I'll see, she goes, oh, gas prices are pretty low. And I'm like, yep, you know why they're low? Because they're trying to help Biden. So I can't look at anything positive and not think it's just a plan to help Biden. But I'm not the only one. Donald Trump had a sit down with Breitbart Business Digest, had the opportunity to talk about Joe Biden at Mar-a-Lago last week. They sat down for more than 2 hours. This is an exclusive with Breitbart. And the conversation repeatedly turned to the state of the U.S. economy and predictions for the election year and beyond. And he's come to the conclusion that he's predicting that the Fed will lower rates to help Democrats. He said, the article states, we were also keen to ask Trump if he thinks the Federal Reserve and Chairman Jerome Powell will cut interest rates to specifically help Joe Biden or another Democrat win the general election. Trump says, yeah, I think they will, before taking a dig at Powell. I was never a big fan of this guy, Trump told us before casually pointing the finger at his own Treasury Secretary. Steve Mnuchin recommended him, but I was never a big fan. It does, and I was talking off the air with Ken Weaver, I feel like maybe I'm the only one, but I'm starting to come to the conclusion, and I'm being a little bit more reserved about 2024. Everybody's like, oh, 2024 is going to be a wild year. And I'm starting to think maybe, just maybe, it's going to be more boring than we're anticipating because they want this thing to normalize out. They want to smooth things over as we head into 2024 so that way Biden looks better because the low-info Democrat voter will have recency bias come November. So if they lower rates, it'll help Democrats. If they lower gas prices, it'll help Democrats. And I definitely think we're going to see a lot of this as we head into 2024. Trump does predict that they will be lowering interest rates to help Democrats. Trump also, during the conversation, repeatedly issued a dire economic prediction, saying, if I don't win, you're going to end up with a depression. He made sure to emphasize the letter D, says the Breitbart article. Depression. What could be a better way to kick off this monumental year in American history than with the former president and presumptive GOP nominee raising the stakes to epic heights, exclusively in this Breitbart article? Well, I think that is something that is a possibility. If my prediction is true and they're going to try and normalize things, they're going to be putting a Band-Aid on it, right? They're going to be plugging the holes in the ship. And if Joe Biden was to win, well, then all bets are off and they're back to the original plan of ruining the country. So a depression would definitely be on the table. I've talked at length that I think we're already in the silent depression where we're seeing prices inflate well past what wages are doing to keep up with inflation. And many Americans are doing far worse than people were doing in the Great Depression. Now, when you take out the fact that, a lot of people there was a lot less jobs in the Great Depression. If you look at just the facts of what the cost of living was, what the cost of goods were, and what the average income was during the Great Depression, you stretch that out for inflation, we are not pacing well. The cost of cars, if you were to stretch it out for inflation, it is way up more than what inflation is. The cost of homes, if you stretch it out from 1929, 1930s, for what inflation is way up compared to what inflation would be with what the price was in the 29 and 30 year. So a lot of people call this the silent depression. I think that that's a great way to put it because, yeah, people have jobs, but the average income isn't what the average income was for the people with jobs in 1929, 1930 when you stretch it out for inflation. It's just not. It's not keeping up. So a lot of people are calling this the silent depression. Well, Trump is predicting that if Biden gets into office, we're going to see an actual depression. However, I don't think we're going to see Biden in office. Fingers crossed. And not because they're going to replace him. I think, I don't know. Maybe they do replace him. Maybe they do impeach him. I also was of the opinion for a while that I didn't want Joe Biden to be impeached because I didn't want somebody else to get in there. Now, as time goes on, I'm thinking, well, we're getting really close to the election. Maybe if they do the impeachment process, it'll never get through the Senate, but maybe it'll force the Democrats to rally around this guy the same way Republicans rallied around Trump during his impeachments. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. But if Biden gets reelected, I absolutely think we're going to see a depression. I mean, just now, the U.S. debt tops $34 trillion for the first time ever. $34 trillion, baby. $34 trillion. It's crazy. Vivek Ramaswamy had something to say about the national debt. And I like what he had to say. I'll play that after the break. Hang out with us. It's 9:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. It's cold out there, and if you're hearing your heater kind of clinking around, you should get it serviced the right way, the Busy Bee way, with Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. You don't want to wait for a problem to pop up. If you think it's not working in tip-top shape, you should get it in tip-top shape by having it serviced with Busy Bee and be proactive before it busts. I mean, it could save you a lot of money if you get it maintained, and the Busy Bee way is the way to do it. Whether you need annual maintenance, repair, or replacement, maybe you didn't get that maintenance, maybe now it's not working. Repair, or maybe you need a whole system altogether. Replacement. Well, Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, they're the guys who I trust and who you should trust too. And if you do need to replace your system, you're not going to find a better value on replacement systems. They offer up to 12 months, no payment, no interest with approved credit, and it pays in so many ways to sign up for that annual maintenance on your on your plumbing, heating, and air systems from Busy Bee. That way, when it comes to the time of year where you really need it cranking, it's not breaking on you. So do that. Get yourself signed up for the annual maintenance. And for added rewards and savings, sign up to be a Beehive member. I say it all the time. My wife loves that we're Beehive members because if a problem comes up, we know that we're going to get front-of-the-line service. Plus, you get that thorough annual maintenance on your plumbing, heating, and air systems with no overtime charges, 24/7, and 10% off all repairs. Remember, they do have convenient Saturday availability for those maintenance calls, so you'll never be left out in the cold. Busy Bee, they're your Rude Pro partner for satisfaction guaranteed. Call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833 or online at busybeehvac.com.
Following reports of a rash of bomb threats, 3 state capitals, at least 2 of them being evacuated. We'll tell you the first state where Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has made the presidential ballot and the death toll climbing at a ceremony for a dead general in Iran. These stories and more at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. So we were talking to the national debt, $34 trillion. $34 trillion with a T. Unreal. Vivek Ramaswamy was on with Neil Cavuto yesterday doing what they do. And he brought up the national debt and talked to really about, how big this is going to hamstring us in the future. And not just us, but like our kids and grandkids. Because the interest payments on our national debt.
You'd still be the youngest president if you tried again in 4 years.
Neil, I don't know that our country is working with that luxury of time. If the interest payments on our national debt become the largest line item in our federal budget, we're in quicksand, and I don't think we have a country left. I think it's going to take somebody with fresh legs and also a CEO in the White House. I'm working with zero-based budgeting. That's how I'm going to run the federal government. Fire 75% of those federal bureaucrats within my first term.
All right.
Taking that anti-deep state America First agenda further than Donald Trump did. And I think if we don't do that in this next short window we have, I'm quite concerned we won't have the same country left. And so it's not about in my life. Sure, I could run for president in the future. I don't need to run for president at all. But I'm doing this out of my sense of duty to the country. And I don't think we're working with a lot of time left. And that's why I'm in this race.
I agree. I don't think we're working with a lot of time left. I don't think that Vivek is going to be the president in 2024, no matter how you slice it. However, maybe he's a good VP nominee. He would certainly be better than Nikki Haley, because if there's one thing that I don't want is somebody that the establishment would like to replace Trump with. One of the things about Kamala Harris when they put her in the VP slot was everybody said, well, if Biden doesn't make it through, we'll have Kamala to move up. And we all know how great of an idea that would be. I think Nikki Haley or even, like a Ron DeSantis, one of those just establishment-esque candidates are not the move as VP. I think a guy like Vivek or a guy like Tucker, somebody that strikes as much fear into these deep state and bureaucrat cronies as Trump does, is the more move for VP. Because then if Trump, for whatever reason, doesn't make it, and a lot of people use the A word for why he wouldn't make it, you have somebody that would be next in line that scares them as much as Trump. For that reason, I would take Vivek as a VP. But I think that his plan on laying off the bureaucrats is the move, because this government is so bloated that there's no way we're going to fix the national debt unless we make drastic changes and quickly. Completely agree with that. It is 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Don't forget, you can listen to us anywhere you go with the TuneIn app, the iHeartRadio app, and more. Download them in your app store. Here's Ken Weaver with the latest headlines.
"9:30 on the dot this Wednesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Still following reports of bomb threats at state capitals across the country. Right now, Kentucky, Georgia, and Mississippi. The one in Georgia has been cleared as a hoax, but the one in Kentucky has prompted the evacuation of the state capital. It was in an email to the Secretary of State's office. And the bomb threat in Mississippi has been listed as suspicious activity at the state capital. Election 2024. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has collected enough signatures and will appear on the 2024 presidential ballot in Utah. And right now in Iran, the death toll is over 100 at a ceremony honoring a dead general. State-run media says there were blasts at the event, marking 4 years since Qasem Soleimani was killed in a U.S. airstrike former President Trump ordered in 2020. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. You often hear me talk about diversification in the investing process, but how do we diversify? Well, we look for things that move in dissimilar fashion historically. Some of those market areas might be really small companies or really large companies, or very growth-oriented companies or value-oriented companies. One of the things that we find is that when we diversify between these various segments, we can reduce the volatility of the portfolio because they don't move in tandem with each other historically. Now, we can do that in U.S. markets, we can do that in international markets, and in emerging markets. And when we can dampen that volatility, we can help get ourselves a little bit of a better outcome as far as knowing what we might likely have in the future, or how we can take income from our investment portfolio. Now, we also want to add fixed income or bonds to the mix as well. Now, if we know that we need to do this, what's the best way to do it? Well, one of the things that we often teach is this concept of market efficiency. This won the Nobel Prize in economics as well. And it's the idea that if I'm investing in, let's say, small value stocks, if we look at professional managers and their ability to say, hey, should I have this stock or that one, and picking companies or areas of the market, we find that they typically get lower returns than the market does on its own. They just add expense and they can add a lot of volatility. One of the things we want to avoid is anything that can hurt your returns and increase your risk in the investing process. To learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call, or call 615-851-1950.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. We got a text here from 5976. Said, anything been said about what Louis Farrakhan had to say about Donald Trump? Me and Mac were talking off the air.
Yeah.
Said Louis Farrakhan. That sounds familiar. I said, yeah, he's big Muslim leader. And then said bow tie Muslim, different. It's a different classification. But there's a video that's been making the rounds. It was right before Christmas. Trump fans were cheering support from Nation of Islam's Farrakhan. But the video is old.
Yeah.
So this is from a, rawstory.com, talking about a pro-Trump influencer who recently interviewed Tucker Carlson, celebrated on Saturday that the former president got the nod from Nation of Islam leader Minister Louis Farrakhan, but the video dates back to at least 2018. So, old video. We saw it. More of a Rizza Islam guy myself.
Yeah, and I didn't know who that was, so I just looked Rizza Islam. He, first thing is Anti-Defamation League. He regularly posts anti-Semitic, anti-LGBTQ, and anti-vaccine rhetoric. So it's perfect for you.
Yeah,
it's right up your alley.
So I didn't know who he was. I didn't know who Rizza Islam was. And then there was I think it was during the pandemic. It was like, these are the top 10 accounts spreading vaccine misinformation. And I was like, ooh, I got some new people to follow. And Rizza Islam was one of the guys on there. I don't agree with everything he says, obviously. Listen, I'll be perfectly honest. I don't agree with everything anyone says. There's stuff Trump says that I don't agree with. Operation Warp Speed, I think, was a big mistake. But, we can go down those roads a different day. But, Rizza Islam says some outlandish things that I'm like, yeah, I like that guy. I do. It's fun. It's fun to say things you're not supposed to say. So I listen to a lot of different voices. But yeah, Louis Farrakhan, to answer 5976, anything been said? Yeah, it was said. It was said a long time ago. So it's not really new news. But, is anything new news anymore? Even with all this Epstein stuff coming out, which the latest on Epstein is that we're not going to see anything until January 22nd. So the Epstein client list apparently is not going to be released in full until at least January 22nd. A bunch of people are saying that. This is according to public court documents that were taken that the court granted somebody named Jane Doe 107 a request for a 30-day extension because this person is claiming she will face the risk of physical harm in her country. So a lot of speculation as to who is this Jane Doe 107. Well, first let's address the fact that maybe we see this beforehand. Now, when you look at these court documents saying that it's not going to come out until January 22nd, this is according to an update in December that the list can. So there was an update in the court update that came out December 21st, 2023. That said that it would be delayed if anybody basically had something to say about it. So Jane Doe 107 had something to say about it. But that was the last update, December 21st, 2023. That's what everyone is referencing to claim it's extended until the 22nd. So it seems like it's going to be delayed. Didn't I say this before we left for Christmas break? Like I don't think this is ever going to be released. It seems like it's going to be delayed because of who the clients are. But let's speculate, shall we? Do you want us to do some speculation? I think speculation.
Oh, yeah.
Speculation's fun. Who would Jane Doe 107 be? Well, a lot of people have a lot of ideas. One idea is Chrissy Teigen, the wife of John Legend. So Chrissy Teigen gets a lot of hate about, a lot of pedophilic tweets that she's made in the past. And when the Epstein news originally dropped that he was arrested, she deleted some 60,000 tweets. tweets that were quote unquote jokes that were, pedophilic references, talking about being attracted to children and things of that nature. Hilarious jokes, just normal jokes with friends, right? So that's one of the thoughts on who could be Jane Doe 107. My personal favorite on who could be Jane Doe 107 is Oprah. Oprah Winfrey could be Jane Doe 107. I think that's far more interesting, and I do think it's realistic. Oprah has ties to a lot of these weirdos. A lot of them. I mean, she's buddied up with Harvey Weinstein. She loves herself some Bill Cosby. Oprah has, been with Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton. And there's a guy by the name of John of God who was a Brazilian medium healer, a subject of a profile by Oprah, and he was accused and arrested for abusing hundreds of women. Now, this guy had been written about for years. His practice started in the 70s, but on an episode of Oprah in 2010, it was devoted to him and raised his profile. And Oprah fawned over this guy. But 4 women appeared on Brazilian television in 2018, and accused this guy, John of God, of abusing them, and when they'd come to him for assistance. Now, speaking on Brazilian TV, 3 of the women described their encounters with this John of God under the condition of anonymity, and they said that during one of the trips to see the healer to be cured of trauma of previous sexual assault, this guy took her into a back room and assaulted her. So these are the people that Oprah bigs up. It would not shock me if Oprah was Jane Doe 107. What does anybody else think could be Jane Doe 107? A lot of people are texting in Hillary Clinton. Could Hillary Clinton be Jane Doe 107? Maybe. I don't know if that would hold everything up. I mean, the fact that Bill Clinton has already been identified, like, what would stop them from identifying Hillary? 3143 said Meghan Markle. Markle?
Yeah, Markle.
Is it Markle or is it Merkel?
I thought it was Markle.
I don't know. I don't really pay much attention to that lady.
Yeah.
that's a collective thought of her on our show.
Yeah, we're good.
5019 said Ellen DeGeneres. That's some good speculation. Maybe. I don't know. 6436 said, love me some conspiracy theories in the morning. It's better than coffee, baby. Conspiracy theories and Raider Nation songs. This is what we're doing today. I mean, listen, I don't know. I don't know who this person is. Apparently, they have some clout, though, if they're getting this thing hung up. So, they definitely have some clout. Oprah would have that kind of clout. 100%. 2034 said, nobody hates Epstein more than Hillary. She practically celebrated his death. 8710 said, maybe Madonna. I don't know. I don't know who Jane Doe 107 is. I don't know if this list is ever going to be released. However, I do know that one of the things that we can talk about, which is a big win, if you said pedophiles run the world back in 2016 and that there's, this honeypot operation with Jeffrey Epstein ensnaring politicians and elites, you would be looked at like you have 10 heads. And now you can walk into a Dollar General and look at the clerk behind the counter and say, hey, did you hear that the Epstein list may be released? And like, oh, yeah, that's the guy that was honeypotting all those politicians. The Overton window has shifted, my friends, and this is a positive move for us. I talked yesterday about how, when you watch the New Year's Eve celebration on CNN, the first kiss at midnight is 2 guys kissing, making out. And the Overton window has shifted left culturally in that way, where now you can't even talk about whether or not marriage should be between man and a woman or, if gay marriage should be allowed because the Overton window shifted to the left. Well, I think that there's a flip side of that coin, and it's more positive that the Overton window has shifted drastically the other way as well, where now it seems like the fact that our elites have been compromised in some way is pretty much public knowledge. Pretty much everybody is aware of it on some level. Now, I also want to say, do I think everybody on this Epstein list is going to be guilty of pedophilia and crimes against children? Probably not. This guy knew a lot of people, and I don't know if everybody that comes out on any one of these lists is going to be a guy that took the bait. You know what I mean? I think that would be a bridge too far, because it's a small world of these elites, right? Everybody rubs elbows with everybody. So if you're a guy that wants to go on a business trip and make money, and some other billionaire says, hey, I made X amount of millions with Epstein, you should talk to him and take the meeting, and you're a rich guy, you're going to take the meeting. So it doesn't, I don't think that just because your name is on a list means that you are up to no good. And there's definitely going to be some people there that didn't take the bait. But I think that the fact that we can have these conversations in public now is huge. Now, if you look back, there was a Project Veritas video that exposed Amy Robach from ABC, saying that ABC squashed the Epstein story when they had it, and they squashed it because they wanted to make sure that they had access to the Will and Kate wedding. They wanted to get interviews and all that kind of stuff, and nobody knew who Epstein was. It was a non-story. ABC squashed it. This is how much the window has shifted, because now another ABC-owned property, Disney-owned, ESPN, you're having guys talk about it on ESPN right away. In fact, just yesterday, Aaron Rodgers was on the Pat McAfee show, and the Epstein list comes up. And this is on an ABC-owned, Disney-owned property. The same company that squashed the Epstein story before it became a big story is now airing it on their networks, and there's nothing they can do about it because it is public knowledge.
This has something to do with the Epstein list that came out?
Feels like.
That's supposed to be coming out soon.
Look, this guy's been waiting in his wine cellar. Yeah. I've been waiting in my wine cellar for this thing.
A lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are really hoping that doesn't.
All right.
So he mentions Jimmy Kimmel. Aaron Rodgers does. Just throws Jimmy Kimmel right under the bus. Jimmy Kimmel wasn't happy.
He was not.
Did you see his tweet?
Yeah.
Jimmy Kimmel's angry. Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah. So, for the record, nobody really likes Jimmy Kimmel. I just wanted to get that on the record. So, Jimmy Kimmel says, he tweets at Aaron Rodgers, "Dear a-hole." It's a good way to start. "Dear a-hole, for the record, I've not met, flown with, visited, or had any contact whatsoever with Epstein, nor will you find my name on any list other than the clearly phony nonsense that soft-brained wackos like yourself can't seem to distinguish from reality. Your reckless words put my family in danger. Keep it up, and we will debate the facts further in court." At Aaron Rodgers 12. Sounds like somebody that was on a list might say, right? What do you think? I don't know. Maybe. It wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me at all. We're doing the music already? I got more to say about Jimmy. I do have more to say about Jimmy, including Jimmy Kimmel's connections to Epstein, which are aplenty. They're bountiful, if you will. So when Aaron Rodgers says, including Jimmy Kimmel,
a lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are really hoping that doesn't.
Golly. I mean, there's some heat behind those accusations, and we'll talk about that next. Hang out with us. It's 9:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Bomb threats in several states. We'll tell you the first state to announce Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has enough signatures to be on the presidential ballot. The death toll is rising. You got to hear what happened in Iran today. And mortgage rates and millennials. These stories and more at 10 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hi,
We were talking about, what's his name again? Oh, yeah, Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel. Aaron Rodgers brought him up on ESPN of all places. Talking about the, Epstein documents that are going to be released. Now, it's important to preface, and Brandy texted this in. She said, I thought the flight logs were released around the time Maxine was arrested. Talking about Ghislaine Maxwell. Guess it was a fake. Well, there were flight logs that were released around that time. So what is being debated to be released now are the people that were implicated in the Virginia Giuffre lawsuit. Different list, different stuff. So there's a lot of names that still need to come out. But I was talking about how the Overton window has shifted, where, if you said to somebody in, I don't know, let's just go back a decade, 2014, that there's a man running a honeypot operation where he gets blackmail and compromises politicians and elites, and he does it on an island, you'd be looked at like you were crazy. Fast forward, ABC has the story, and Amy Robach is trying to break the story, and ABC shuts it down. They said it's a non-story. Nobody knows who Epstein is. Why would you run that? And it'll ruin the access we have to the royal family and the royal wedding, and that the royal family got involved and shut it down because of, Prince Andrew's involvement. Fast forward, now on another Disney-owned property, ESPN, you have the list being brought up on the Pat McAfee show. It's become like public discourse. The Overton window has shifted. And just to clarify, the Overton window is basically the window of political possibility and what you're allowed to talk about and the ideas that the public is willing to consider and accept. So inside the window is acceptable, outside the window is radical. The window has shifted, whereas 10 years ago, this conversation would have been radical and Alex Jones tier, to now it's, you can go talk to just about anybody and they've heard about some of it. Literally, just about anybody. And it's being discussed on ESPN.
This has something to do with the Epstein list that came out?
Feels like that's supposed to be coming out soon.
Look, this guy's been waiting in his wine cellar. Yeah. I've been waiting in my wine cellar for this thing.
A lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are really hoping that doesn't.
All
right. So Jimmy Kimmel is very upset about that. He called Aaron Rodgers an a-hole, threatened him with a defamation lawsuit. But I just want to point out that there are connections between Jimmy Kimmel and Jeffrey Epstein. Does that mean Jimmy Kimmel was on the list? Does that mean he went to the island? Of course not. But it's interesting to say the least. In 2014, Jimmy Kimmel chaired a Clinton Foundation forum for the Clinton Global Initiative in Arizona with Bill, Hillary, Chelsea, and both Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell are on record saying that they helped launch the Clinton Global Initiative. Maybe that's too fringe, right? Maybe that's just a coincidence. Well, there's other coincidences, and the Daily Wire's Brett Cooper talks about how Jimmy Kimmel's BFF was actually Jeffrey Epstein's personal chef for years.
People are also pointing to Kimmel's longtime friendship with a man named Adam Perry Lang, who is a professional chef. And the two are so close that they spend Thanksgiving with each other every year, and Kimmel even helped Lang start his steakhouse APL in Hollywood, just a few blocks from Kimmel's studio. Here's a photo of them cooking meats together. Now, that restaurant, APL, closed in January of 2022, in addition to Lang's Napa Valley Steakhouse, which also closed around the same time. And publicly, they said that this was all due to the restaurants not being able to bounce back from COVID and the lockdowns, and I'm sure that was a contributing factor, but the chef's reputation and the restaurant's popularity was shattered when it came out and it was revealed that Lang not only took trips to Epstein's Island on the plane, but that he was Epstein's private chef in the early 2000s.
Oh, weird. All these coincidences. How could you have all these coincidences and think Jimmy Kimmel could be on an Epstein list, right? Coincidental, anecdotal, sure. But hey, worth asking the question, right? Now, I'm getting other text messages about, what about Trump? What about Trump's connections to Epstein? Well, I have info on that as well. Hang out with us, and we'll do that after the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Ten o'clock on the dot this Wednesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 2 minutes. Right now, bomb threats at state capitals prompting evacuations. Got one in Kentucky, Georgia, and Mississippi. The threat in Kentucky was emailed to the Secretary of State's office. The one in Mississippi is listed as suspicious activity at the state capitol there. And the bomb threat in Georgia has been cleared as a hoax. Election 2024, Utah is the first state to announce Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has collected enough signatures to appear on the presidential ballot. A campaign spokesperson did not indicate which day he would file for candidacy. The deadline is March 5th. And right now in Iran, the death toll is over 100 at a ceremony honoring a dead general.
Chaos in the aftermath of the first of two deadly blasts. The second one claimed more lives some 15 minutes later. A senior government official quickly called it the work of terrorists. It happened at the gravesite of General Soleimani, who was killed by a U.S. drone 4 years ago in neighboring Iraq. It comes amid wider tensions in the Middle East over Israel's ongoing war against Hamas in Gaza.
Tom Rivers reporting. Money news. Many would-be homeowners wondering if 2024 could be the year they finally buy. Here's Elizabeth Schulze.
The average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage is now 6.6%, with analysts forecasting rates below 6% by the end of the year. That would save buyers $230 a month on their payments for a $400,000 mortgage. Welcome relief for Megan Zuckerman. Saddled with high rent and student loan payments, Zuckerman is among a growing number of millennials choosing to move in with her parents to cut costs.
I'm not currently paying rent, and I'm not in a situation where my lease is up and I need to be out at a certain point.
Now she's saving $2,000 a month to put toward a down payment for her first home.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, 10:05. Find me on Instagram, True Social, all the things, at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button, I'll follow back. As long as you don't look like a weirdo. You know what I mean? Like some people look like Russian bots, like from the jump, from the get-go.
Peace out. See ya.
Yeah, like I just got one guy that followed me, and he's like, it's like location, UAE, United Arab Emirates. I'm like, I don't know if you're a real person. So like that's what I mean. You gotta look like a real person, and I'll follow you. And if you don't, do the real name, real picture, just tweet at me and say based or something, and I'll know I know you're one of us.
Yes.
And I'll follow you. All right, so there's a lot of questions about Jimmy Kimmel and the Epstein list, and we were talking off air, and I said to Mac, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and I'm not saying Kimmel's guilty of anything, but there's definitely things that we need answered, and a lot of people bring up Trump and his connections with Epstein. Correct? It's happening on the F&M Bank chat line right now, right?
That is true. Riff Addict on the F&M Bank chat line. Love how Chris is tamping down the Epstein list because he knows Trump's name is on it numerous times.
I'm tamping it down?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, I thought it would have been tampering it down. Tamping, I mean, that could be incorrect. Tamping could be the correct word there. But yeah, I don't know. Tamping.
I've never heard it used that way. Yeah. Tamping it down?
Tamping it down. Yeah, I don't know.
Am I tamping it down for talking about it? I'm assuming it means like downplaying?
Yeah, you're downplaying.
Tamping?
Yeah, incorrect, by the way. Incorrect use of that word, but that's okay.
What's the definition of tamping?
Pack full of clay or sand to concentrate the force of the explosion. You're tamping it, man.
I'm tamping it, bro. All right.
Ram or pack a substance down into something firmly, so you're pushing it down. I guess, okay, I'll get there. That's a stretch. I'll get there, Riff Addict.
I'm trying to lessen the force of the explosion on Trump.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's fair.
I mean, listen, you can turn on Fox News and the Epstein list comes up, and there's Trump's picture with Epstein. Everybody's going to rehash the Trump-Epstein connections. And I'll say this. I don't see it. Like, I know that they knew each other, but you have to realize, and I said this a moment ago, not everybody on the list means that they're pedophiles. And that's Democrats included. Do you know what I mean? Like, 100%. There's going to be Democrats that are on the list that may have gone to Epstein Island. And maybe you hear that Bill Gates and Bill Clinton are going, and you're like, dude, this is going to be a good networking opportunity because I'm a Democrat, and those are big Democrats. Like, I think that's understandable. Like, why wouldn't you want to go rub elbows with the people that are high up in your party? So I don't think everybody on the list, Democrats included, are necessarily guilty of the crimes that are associated with Jeffrey Epstein. Full disclosure. But with Trump, there's an attorney by the name of Bradley Edwards. Now, Bradley Edwards represented 70 trafficking victims of Jeffrey Epstein starting in 2009, okay? Bradley Edwards, this attorney who represented these 70 trafficking victims, was instrumental in bringing down Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, this guy dedicated a decade of his life to the Epstein trafficking case. So day in, day out, this guy's working on it. Now, he was asked about Trump's connection with Jeffrey Epstein. And I finally found the audio. It's hard to find on the internet, but there's an interview where Bradley Edwards is asked about the Trump connection. And this is what he said about Donald Trump.
Obviously, our current president has had relationships with Epstein in the past, and there are those Katie Johnson and maybe other victims who have accused Trump of being involved in things like this. In my experience, Trump supporters will not listen to anything along those lines. Obviously, we're not a court of law here right now, but are those claims of though that case was dropped, it was dropped before it went to court. In your opinion as a lawyer and your experience, is there anything you can say as to the validity of those claims or whether or not there will be any more about that?
Nothing at all. The only thing that I can say about President Trump is that he is the only person who, in 2009, when I served a lot of subpoenas on a lot of people, or at least gave notice to some pretty connected people that I wanted to talk to them, he is the only person who picked up the phone and said, let's just talk. I'll give you as much time as you want. I'll tell you what you need to know, and was very helpful in the information that he gave, and gave no indication whatsoever that he was involved in anything untoward whatsoever, but had good information that checked out and that helped us, and that we didn't have to take a deposition of him.
That was in 2009?
That was in 2009. So,
do you know if there's any truth to James Patterson's claims that Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago?
I've definitely heard that.
So that's the attorney, Bradley Edwards, again, who represented 70 trafficking victims of Jeffrey Epstein starting in 2009 and was instrumental in bringing Epstein down, and says that Trump helped him bring Epstein down. He also goes on to say that he has heard that Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. The rumors around that were that Epstein hit on an underage employee who was the daughter of a member of the club. Trump banned him from the club. Now, was he on the flight? There are flight logs where Trump took a flight from Florida to New Jersey in the 90s before any of these revelations came out. So I think that there's a definite distinction between hopping on a flight with, somebody that other people are doing business with to New Jersey than there is hopping on a flight to an island, right? It's a little different, especially when you consider in the 90s, none of these accusations were public. The first Epstein accusations were around, I believe, 2004 was around the first time that this stuff started coming to light. And if you find me a flight log with Trump after 2004, I'm happy to re-go down this rabbit hole. But as far as I know and the information I've seen, it's not there. There's no there. There just isn't. Now, I think it's different when you look at somebody like Bill Gates, who does business with Epstein after the accusations. I think that's far different. I don't know. To each their own. And I'm not going to say that if new information comes to light, I'm not going to change my mind. If new information comes to light that Trump did something with underage, kids on an island somewhere, like, by all means, get rid of them. Nobody should be above these crimes. I don't want that to get lost in translation at all. But I think it's different getting a flight to New Jersey in the 90s, pre any allegations, and helping an attorney representing trafficking victims take Epstein down in 2009 and kicking Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago for hitting on an underage waitress. That's a little bit different than post-allegations doing business with them a la Bill Gates and Bill Clinton. I think that's very different. Let's go to Kevin in Nashville, who has a comment on the Epstein logs. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, Kevin?
Hey, what's going on, Chris?
How are you, man?
I'm doing okay. You're exactly right. There's one thing about taking flights, because were some of them legitimate fundraisers? Yeah, they could have been.
Yeah.
They're not kicking around a lot of the other names on there. The actor Chris Tucker, are you saying he was down there? Could he been? He could have been, but was he? Nobody knows. The flight logs won't tell you that. Just like Bill Clinton has security details. Sometime he dished them, sometime he didn't. So was the security detail wrapped up in it? You don't know. The flight log won't tell you that. Ghislaine Maxwell's black book will tell you a lot more than a bunch of flight logs will. These are just a bunch of names released, and they're kind of cherry picking around the names they want to kick around all the flight logs. Okay, Donald Trump was on there, but you're not kicking Bill Gates. They're not kicking the Clintons, and Bill's name showed up on there like 26 times.
Yep.
But it still doesn't tell you what Bill did.
Well, and to your point, this is a honeypot operation. They want to get blackmail on these people. There were cameras everywhere at these properties. There were tapes on all of these people at all these properties. So who has the tapes? Well, the FBI raided the properties. Were the tapes there? Does the FBI have the tapes?
I'm sure they probably do. Just like the island, which should have been considered a crime scene. But shortly after this went down with Epstein getting arrested, then he hanged himself. Then the place gets plowed over. Why is it not a crime scene?
Yeah.
You need to be going through that place with a fine-tooth comb, just like the property in Mexico and just like the condo in New York. But then that gets sold to somebody else. Don't know what happened to anything inside. None of that stuff gets looked at. But But then again, with the FBI, but if you're a parent protesting the school board, you're a problem.
Oh, 100%. You're a domestic terrorist at that point.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But
No.
hang around with Jeffrey Epstein? Nah, nothing to see here, folks.
Well, and it goes back to who was Epstein actually working for. I don't think he's working for himself. You know,
No.
and there's all sorts of theories out there that he was working for different countries, different intelligence agencies. I haven't seen any of it confirmed, but it would make more sense that he's working with an intelligence agency than working by himself doing all of this.
Of course, because who would have more access than a billionaire and have a lot more contacts in a lot of places than a billionaire? Of course he would.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Hey, man, I appreciate the call, Kevin. Thanks so much for chiming in. 615-737-9986 if you want to weigh in on this. You know, former Epstein assistant is saying that she could shock the world with bombshell testimony. The mysterious Sarah Kellen, once Jeffrey Epstein's top assistant, they're saying might soon reveal information that could impact many high-profile influential figures in several ways. Kellen, who worked for Epstein in the early 2000s, is now at the center of a storm of speculation as sealed court documents are set to be released, potentially implicating a host of high-profile individuals in Epstein's notorious sex trafficking ring. This story from Trending Politics News. Kellen, now 44, has been described as having a front-row seat to the debauchery of Epstein's world. What she knows would shock the world, a source told them. Her role allegedly involved scheduling the infamous massages where Epstein sexually abused his victims. And despite her deep involvement, Kellen has not been charged with a crime and has maintained that she, too, was a victim of Epstein, claiming she was raped and abused weekly. This upcoming document release, part of a defamation suit in 2017 with Epstein's partner Ghislaine Maxwell, is expected to reveal the names of more than 150 people. So this testimony from this assistant could be a big deal, and a source close to this assistant hinted at the possibility of a tell-all book or a documentary deal. Oh, yeah, it's always, that kind of bugs me when people sit on this information and then they wait and they do it for money. It's like, just do the right thing, do the right thing. A lot of people are saying this information is seen as a get-out-of-jail-free card for Kellen, and it's valuable enough to be retained as leverage to maintain her freedom. She has so much to say to plead her case, the source claimed. It's more valuable for her to hold on to the information should she need it to stay free. So maybe she's holding on to it as kind of a dead man key, in case she's charged, she can, turn witness. There's a lot of people that knew a lot of things. A lot. In December of 2020, while speaking to The Sun, which is a newspaper, Kellen stated her position, asserting, "I've been made out to be a monster, but it's not true." I wish she would come forward with what she knows. Like, instead of waiting to sell a book or a documentary. Stuff is frustrating. It seems like so many people knew all about it. I mean, John McCain's wife, Cindy McCain, said, "We all knew Epstein. We all knew what he was doing." It seems like many people did know. Jason texted in and said, I'm sure the former assistant is feeling very suicidal at the moment. Yeah. I would be in hiding. I mean, seriously. Instead of saying, I have all this information, I would just go into hiding if you're that nervous. Or let it all out. But I think that there's major questions that need to be answered. And I think there's many people that have the answers and just aren't saying it. Again, the FBI raided the New York home. They raided his New Mexico property. They raided the island. These areas were set up to capture blackmail of the elites. There were cameras everywhere. There were videos. Where are the videos? Are we going to find out in a couple years that, the FBI's had it for years, just like we found out with the Hunter Biden laptop? Probably. It's crazy, man. I just want more info. And back to Trump, if he's implicated, he can go too. Like, I don't think anybody should be above the law in this situation. But to round it out, I don't think Trump who flew on the flight once or twice in the 90s to New Jersey is the same as, doing business with Epstein after accusations have been made public. Just me. Maybe you feel differently. 615-737-9986. It's 1021 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Iran blast, death toll rising. Details at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. 1024 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I do want to switch gears a bit. You know our friend Fletch, who texts in all the time?
Yeah, of course.
He's the guy that cleans windows on the skyscrapers.
Yes.
He's one of my favorite listeners because he proves that you can listen to us anywhere.
Anywhere.
With the
no
iHeart
excuses.
or the TuneIn app. Except he doesn't listen to us in the lobbies when he's doing windows in the lobbies, he said. Because, I don't know. Maybe I say things that are a little bit outlandish sometimes. Maybe. I don't know. Well, he sent me this video on the gram last night. And I found it interesting, and I didn't know this was going on. Have you been in a vape shop recently? You ever go into a vape shop? I mean, I don't know. You can just give me a wink. You don't have to say it on the air. All right. You know they're selling nitrous oxide in vape shops around Nashville?
Nitrous oxide? What?
Like laughing gas?
Whoa. In just a normal vape shop?
In a normal vape shop in Nashville.
That's kind of crazy.
Right? I thought that was crazy too. And he sent me a video of it to prove what was going on. And the video is wild because it's like, who are they marketing this to? And we went back and forth about this last night. And he said, please talk about this. I said, I will. It's this, they call it galaxy gas. And it's totally marketed towards kids. Nitrous oxide, laughing gas. Now, there's a crude printed black and white sign that says for culinary use only taped on the display. But you're inside a vape shop. And what a lot of these kids do is they inhale this nitrous oxide and get high.
Are these like those Whippet things?
It's basically, it's like Whippets.
Whippets.
People used to do it with the whipped cream cans.
Yep.
It's like pure Whippets.
Gotcha. Wow.
And,
that's not good.
And they're selling it inside vape shops. So, is that a bridge too far? I don't want, I don't ever want to be a prude or, whatever. I honestly, even marijuana, I'm whatever, towards a certain extent. Me and you have talked off the air. It's I don't like the storefronts.
Yeah.
And I've seen them in Arizona when I was down there with Turning Point. It's that just seems weird to me. I don't like the storefronts, but I also don't care if you smoke pot.
Yeah.
But nitrous oxide, laughing gas being sold in vape shops, it seems a little bit more dangerous than marijuana. Is that just me?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, this is straight to your brain. And because I knew when Whippets were a big thing, a few years ago, I knew people that did that. And that's proven not to be good for your brain if you do Whippets.
Yeah.
It needs to be under medical professional. And I'm even reading now, Chris, a lot of dentists and dental hygienists have stopped using nitrous oxide because it can be very rarely, but it can be fatal.
So, let's just sell it in a vape shop.
Exactly.
And tape a sign on it that says for culinary use only. And just, sell it to kids that are 18. Now, one of the things I was texting with Fletch last night on Instagram at Chris Hand on Air. If you ever want to send me something like this, I love this. This is why we have the best audience in the world, because I don't go into vape shops. I don't know this is happening, but I have friends that will reach out because they listen to the show and say, hey, you need to talk about this. And there's some real dangers associated with this nitrous oxide, like lowering of blood pressure, fainting, heart attack, hypoxia, fatal loss of oxygen, B12 deficiency and anemia, nerve damage. This stuff isn't good. Corey in Murfreesboro, you have a comment on the nitrous oxide. Have you seen this in vape shops, Corey?
No, sir, not myself. But I do dabble in other things, and where I get it from, I have seen my connection have it. And I thought that was kind of odd because, or understandable, I should say, because I have 4 kids, 2 of which were born at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's kind of a big deal here in Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
And Vanderbilt, the one I know, is the only one that I know of that uses nitrous oxide as a pain reliever for women. And I thought that was kind of weird because I was worried about the same things you were just mentioning about the possible side effects, but the doctor is like, nope, it's just the same amount that dentists use, and it's just a quick edge relief for the pain, and then it's completely out of the body. It doesn't affect the baby at all. I thought that was pretty wild. And my first one that did it, he's 12 now. The other one is 8. So they've been doing it for quite some time.
That's crazy. Thanks for the call, Corey. I appreciate it. I mean,
yes, sir.
We'll continue this conversation on the other side because I think it's an important conversation to have. There are some more negative side effects if you're using this stuff recreationally, and that's what it's being sold for. The sign says culinary use only, but make no mistake about it. If they're selling it at vape shops in Nashville, and it's called Galaxy Gas and has bright colors, they're marketing it towards kids. We'll talk about it after the news, which happens right now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hi, I'm Paul Wink.
10:30 on the dot this Wednesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Another deadly attack rattling the Middle East just a day after a drone strike killed a top Hamas leader in Beirut.
Iran reporting over 100 dead and dozens injured when two explosions tore through a crowd at a cemetery in the city of Kreman. That's about 500 miles south of Tehran. The bombs exploding as Iranians gathered near the gravesite of General Qasem Soleimani for a ceremony to mark the fourth anniversary of his death. The U.S. killed Soleimani, the head of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, in a drone attack in Baghdad. No one is claiming the deadly twin bombing.
That's Jordana Miller in Jerusalem. The second in command of Hamas's political wing is dead. You heard Jordana mention that. Salah al-Arari. He was killed in a drone strike yesterday in Beirut. It had all the hallmarks of an Israeli targeted killing, but Jerusalem is staying mum. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. You often hear me talk about diversification in the investing process, but how do we diversify? Well, we look for things that move in dissimilar fashion historically. Some of those market areas might be really small companies or really large companies, or very growth-oriented companies or value-oriented companies. And one of the things that we find is that when we diversify between these various segments, we can reduce the volatility of the portfolio because they don't move in tandem with each other historically. Now, we can do that in U.S. markets, we can do that in international markets, and in emerging markets. And when we can dampen that volatility, we can help get ourselves a little bit of a better outcome as far as knowing what we might likely have in the future, or how we can take income from our investment portfolio. Now, we also want to add fixed income or bonds to the mix as well. Now, if we know that we need to do this, what's the best way to do it? Well, one of the things that we often teach is this concept of market efficiency. This won the Nobel Prize in economics as well. And it's the idea that if I'm investing in, let's say, small value stocks, if we look at professional managers and their ability to say, hey, should I have this stock or that one, and picking companies or areas of the market, we find that they typically get lower returns than the market does on its own. They just add expense and they can add a lot of volatility. One of the things we want to avoid is anything that can hurt your returns and increase your risk in the investing process. To learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call or call 615-851-1950.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, 1035. We were talking about nitrous oxide, more commonly known as laughing gas, being sold inside vape shops in the Nashville area. If you ever have a story that you think we should be aware of, please send it to me on Twitter or Instagram at Chris Hand on Air. That's how I got wind of this. Our friend Fletch sent it to me. He said somebody needs to talk about this. They're selling nitrous oxide in vape shops. And it's clearly marketed towards kids. It's called, they're calling it Galaxy Gas. It's a big, nice display.
Ooh, that looks fun. Galaxy Gas.
Galaxy Gas. Ooh.
Yeah.
Bright colors. And you can just buy it in a vape shop. But don't worry. Don't worry. There's a crudely printed sign taped to the display that says for culinary use only. Because I'm sure many people that are doing such things in the culinary field know that they should go get their culinary supplies at vape shops.
Well, it's like you go to Publix, I'll stop by Kroger to get some other stuff, and then at the end I'll go by the vape shop to get the end of my cooking stuff. Yeah, that's it.
Now, listen, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be able to buy this stuff. But, like, it would make more sense at a culinary supply store, not at a vape shop where kids are going in. And in a state that won't legalize marijuana, should this be legal to sell in a vape shop? Just really weird to me. And I think it's something that we all need to be aware of, especially if you have young kids, especially if you have kids in that teenage range that are doing the experimenting, as we all did when we were teenagers. But this stuff, this nitrous oxide stuff, has serious long-term effects for recreational use. Memory loss, incontinence, depression, psychological dependence, psychosis, weak immune system, limb spasms, possible birth defects. Like, this is crazy, and they sell it, and they market it towards kids. It's called Galaxy Gas. Sean in Nashville has a comment on the nitrous oxide being sold in vape shops. Sean, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, man?
Hey, man, how you doing? Long-time listener, love the channel, love everything you guys do and say. I work for a large THC company here in Tennessee.
Okay.
And it is always been on our radar when we see these things pop up. We have gone out of our way, specifically to like Lambert up in Springfield. There's such a major focus on all wrong sides of this industry where it really serves no purpose. But when you tell these guys that, and when you make appeals to them and you try to explain to them how dangerous it is, they literally laugh it off. No pun intended. We've been calling attention to this, and it's been happening for a long time. This is not new. This is not overnight. This has been happening. It's happening in every city in Tennessee. And some of the negative side effects you're not even mentioning on air. That some of the psychosis that this causes is absolutely terrible. And some of these cans are coming in at huge cans. I mean, for culinary use, come on, really? I mean, it's enough laughing gas that would last someone who was in the culinary field for months and months and months and months. But these kids can blow through it almost overnight. And we've in this industry. I mean, the majority of the folks in this industry are in this industry to provide a safe alternative to the nasty things you can find on the street.
Yep.
And companies will put a lot of time and effort into, with the labs and all of the things you have to do in this industry to get it on the shelf. And we do that, and then right beside it, you see this stuff that serves absolutely no purpose, and the legislators do not care because they say, oh, that's just, that's another stupid choice. Kids are going to have to live with it. We're not too concerned about it. We're looking for the real things. We're looking for the real problem, which is obviously not true. I mean, if you've ever seen anybody actually on the laughing gas, they can, they'll be whacked out in a parking lot. It almost looks like, some of the videos you see of the folks on Trank. These kids will literally be sitting in their cars suffocating. Now, I just want you to imagine that, and then imagine one of these kids, feeling a little bit better and feeling a little bit okay. Then they get into their, one-ton vehicle and they're just barreling down the road. It's one of the scariest things that I've ever seen.
How do these places get licenses to sell compressed gas?
Well, it's you're not necessarily worried about licensing. You're not modifying the tanks. You're not doing anything to the tanks. You can buy these things at wholesalers. You can get them online, and the shops carry it because it's such a great profit margin. They can drop, they'll buy enough of them that they're only paying $4 or $5, sometimes $10 for the really big cans, and then they're able to sell them for 70 or 80.
Jeez.
So these guys that are running the shops, that's what they see. They see the profit margin, and they're not concerned with the safety, and it's killing people.
Dude, that's insane. Now, why is this like allowed when marijuana is illegal in the state? That blows my mind.
Well, when you go into that realm, then you have to start talking about profit margins and negative ad campaigns that have been happening and existing in this state and around this country for decades. I mean, we have proven, without a shadow of a doubt, we've got the best lobbyists in the world that will come in and explain, these perceptions of THC were falsified claims. Now, and I even being within the industry, I know that it takes lots of regulation to make sure you get a good, solid, safe product, to make sure that the right people are able to get a hold of the right things, because, too much of anything is a terrible thing. But imagine being on one of those boards and trying your best to make sure that a good, safe product to get out there, natural anxiety relief, natural stress relief, and then right beside you in those shops, you're seeing these massive cans of Galaxy Gas, and that's the brand that I go after most often.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing that blows my mind. It's literally called Galaxy Gas. Like it's not marketed for anything other than inhaling it, and the product is definitely aimed at kids. Now, we can make the argument all day that these THC alternatives are marketed towards kids as well, and I would agree with a lot of those arguments, but I just it blows my mind that this is okay.
Yeah, I mean it's a losing fight as far as we're concerned. And like I said, I within the industry recognize that there need to be more a lot more oversight in how a lot of things are marketed and a lot of things are sold, and the people that are not, you never hear them advocate for free speech, and you never hear them advocate for these things. But when profit margins are on the table, it's so easy for them to pick up and say, well, we've got to protect our rights. And like, well, yeah, but what are you really protecting? I don't know any shop owner in town, and I know all of the shop owners in town. I don't know a single one of them that would permit their child to come into their household with Galaxy Gas.
Yeah, I don't blame them. It's always the owners that wouldn't let their kids do it. It's like you see that in across all industries. Like Steve Jobs wouldn't let his kids use an iPhone or an iPad. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
These guys know better, but they're making money, so they're not going to say anything. I appreciate your call, Sean. I appreciate your insight, man. Thank you.
Well, you guys do what you can to spread this, because like I said, as far as the industry is concerned, we've done everything we can, and we've never been able to get traction on it. We've never been able to get the legislators to take it seriously. So you guys are the best voice and the best hope Tennessee's got to put a stop to the things that need to be stopped. So we thank you for what you do.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you. Let's go to Frank in Gallatin. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, Frank?
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Several years, you know the gas, right? I didn't hear the beginning of. You use it to make whipped cream.
Yes. Well, and that's why they print out a crude sign on this box that's labeled Galaxy Gas. They print out a crude sign that says for culinary use, because everybody knows for culinary supplies you have to hit up the vape shop.
But you also have to have a canister, so the cylinders for it. I remember having great big tanks at a restaurant I worked at where they made whipped cream, and the kids would fill balloons up with the stuff and get high, and of course the high goes away as soon as you exhale. And so the tank was always empty. Or if you ever seen the movie Waiting with Ryan Reynolds, where they're trying to get the whipped cream out of the cans, and the two stoners are sucking the nitrous oxide out of the whipped cream can.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work. But you used to be able to go to the store and buy a cylinder, a thing that you make whipped cream in, but you wouldn't make the whipped cream, and you get those cylinders, and they look like the ones you would have in the BB guns and the air guns and stuff, and you screw them in, and it'd fill the cylinder up, and then they would inhale it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy. Hey, thanks for the call, Frank. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, I don't know. This is just a story that it blew my mind when I had it sent to me.
Yeah, that's nuts. Yeah, they're upcharging these, and they're obviously trying to make it colorful and fun and make it seem like it's just a normal thing. I mean, I'm glad that at least you have to be 21 to purchase these things, but still.
Yeah, dude, it's just
doesn't change. Yeah,
you got to be 21 to purchase beer. Have we stopped underage drinking? You know what I mean? Like, okay, it just doesn't seem like this should slide in a state where. You know, part of me is like I could go very libertarian and be like, whatever, make that stuff not a crime. The crime is what's associated with it. But then the flip side is like, you're clearly marketing it towards kids. Like it's clearly called Galaxy Gas. Like the boxes are colorful and fun.
Yeah. No, they're trying to make it look like a good time.
Yeah. It's just the craziest thing. The craziest thing. Yeah, and a lot of people are texting in. There were guys selling that downtown New Year's Eve. It says 8214.
I'm sure. Yeah, that sounds like a Broadway thing.
You think?
Yeah,
people,
absolutely.
Dude, I mean.
Post up with a box of that, sell them for 20 a piece, and call it a night.
I mean, you probably make big money.
Huge.
And one of the things Fletch was saying is like, this is the guy that one of our listeners, a friend of the show, Fletch, texted it to me on Instagram at Chris Hand on Air. He sent it to me and he was like, hey, you know, this stuff it's basically like a booster for anything else you're on too.
Oh,
so like,
wow.
So like if you're drunk, you become drunker. If you're stoned, you're more stoned. If you're
wow.
You know, all the things go down the line.
Dang.
Yeah. So really crazy. 0930 said we used to make $1 a balloon. Okay. We don't need to know your profit margins. 0930. I don't know. It's just this is to me as a like I could go either way. Like my kids are young enough. I remember being a teenager, but I'm also like in dad mode where I'm like, this needs to stop. What do we do?
Yeah, 9058 says it's a loophole just like they sell the bongs and pipes and say tobacco only. Yeah, who takes a bong hit of tobacco?
Oh, every day. What? What? People are putting things other than tobacco in those? I don't believe it. I feel like that's a conspiracy theory. 9058. That has to be a conspiracy theory. I mean, so it's crazy. Brian texted and he said, when you inhale, your lips turn blue. Different Brian texted in and said, that's like selling a gun and calling it a hole puncher. Yep. I mean, there's a lot of side effects associated with this, but nobody seems to care. It's pretty weird. 8709 says this stuff is really dirty compared to what the dentist gives you. I mean, I've not had either, but it's interesting to say the least. Don, you're next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You have a comment on the nitrous oxide. What's up, Don?
Yeah, Chris, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
It's absolutely dangerous. I was off for a minute. I'm going to shoot you some articles that my wife did on vaping in general and how it's crippling some of these smaller school districts because they have a zero tolerance policy on marijuana, but yet these kids are sneaking in the vapes and using them, and they're THC laced. But not only that, going back to the nitrous oxide, there's a high incidence, or it's a microcosm of effect, but nitrous oxide can cause sudden cardiac arrest. I used to sell defibrillators to dentists because states one by one started mandating that they have them in the instance of sudden cardiac arrest during dental procedures. So here we are, we're launching these things out for our kids to buy wholesale, and like the previous texter said, it's not even medical grade nitrogen, and we're putting our kids at risk. And then swapping to the THC, you look at some of these vape instruments, and they're geared towards children. They're made in funny shapes and sizes in order to attract children to them. We really need to, and I'm with you, I'm a libertarian, but we really need to get our grasp on this, because vaping in general, whether it be THC or what have you, is horrible for the lungs. It's absolutely horrible for the lungs.
Yeah.
All right, I'm rambling.
Hey, I appreciate the rambles, Don. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you calling
All
in
right,
and weighing in on the
All right,
conversation.
I'll get those articles out to you in a second here.
Yeah, man, send them my way. I would appreciate
All
that.
right.
It is 10:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We got more on the way. Hang out with us. The Chris Hand Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
House Republicans have set the date for the first hearing to impeach the Homeland Security Secretary. The death toll rising after bombs went off at a dead general's gravesite in Iran. And back here at home, there's encouraging news for some would-be homeowners. These stories and more at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's 10:55 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Find me on Twitter, Instagram, at Chris Hand on air. Got a text here from 6292. I think this is an idea for you, Mac. Said Mick Murray should try the galaxy gas during his next newscast for experimental purposes only. What do you think, Ian?
Oh, I'm in.
All right.
Problem is, if I sound better, then I got to keep doing it.
Oh, jeez. Right, it's going to set you up. We can't do it. We can't do that. We don't want to set Mac up.
No.
That's
funny,
it
though.
may not have even been for you. It said it was for Mick.
Yeah, Mick. Yeah, Mick Murray.
Yeah, we'll look for Mick around here. Thanks for the idea. 6292. 7255 texted in, and they I don't know. I don't think this person likes me. He's like, so only children like crazy colors and cool designs? Are guns that are purple, like the Ruger SR-22, only for children? What about the numerous guns in Tiffany blue? What about katanas? Their cool shape design must be for just children, right? How about parents actually parent and know what their children are doing? I mean, hey, listen, I agree with parents actually parenting and knowing what their children are doing. I think that the awareness part comes to letting parents who don't go into vape shops know what is being sold in vape shops. Like myself, I actually parent. My kids are younger, so I don't exactly have to worry about this today. But I didn't know that they were selling nitrous oxide in vape shops. So you can go, ooh, what are colors and cool designs only for kids? Oh, parents should actually parent. Oh. I mean, it's hard if you don't know what's out there. We're just providing the information. 7255. Information that was new to me just yesterday. You got to learn something every day. And not any one of us know every single thing out there. So and they said, well, why are there kids in vape shops? It's like, okay, 7255. Listen, we can go down the line. Whatever you need. Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm 7255. I'm sorry for bringing information that I didn't know to the table in a topic that I thought was interesting and discussing it. I'll try not to do that anymore.
Also, I mean, in high school, there are a bunch of kids going into vape shops.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Yes.
The high schoolers do high school things.
Yeah, when I was in high school, I was going into vape shops. They didn't have nitrous oxide back then, but...
No, they were much more boring.
Yeah, it was much more boring.
Only tobacco pipes. Like, I don't even know. I mean, why are there kids in vape shops? Because kids do dumb things. I don't know what to tell you. People are also saying we might need to get you some laughing gas if the Chiefs keep losing.
That's good. Yeah. So no, not gonna get this laughing gas. Not gonna try that.
No.
I'm in the clear. Are people trying to get me hooked? What's going on?
I feel like people are trying to like peer pressure you into laughing gas if the Chiefs keep losing. Sorry.
Hey, Mac, if your team keeps losing, you should try drugs. Like, okay.
That's like, quite the suggestion. All right. That's hilarious. Oh, Todd said you were in a vape shop 3 years ago when you were in high school. Todd's here.
Todd's savage.
Todd, show starts at 9, Todd. Todd's only a little bit late. Jeez. Yeah, I thought this topic was interesting. There's a lot more interesting stories happening, but I thought this one was local, and it's happening in Nashville. And if you don't go into vape shops and you don't know your kids are seeing nitrous oxide, this is an interesting story. Let's go to Pete in Mount Juliet. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, Pete?
What's going on, Chris? I own 10 vape shops in the Nashville area, and we've been selling products for adults for God knows how long, 10 years. We card every single person that comes in the door. It's posted on every door, 21 plus, because we follow the law. They just changed that law recently. And really, the parents need to be aware. It's not, we're not the police when we're selling products. There's lots of adult-oriented stores out there that you wouldn't let your child go in. So I don't know why they would let children go into vape shops.
No, totally. And this is just a product that I didn't know was available in vape shops. And I think that there's probably a lot of parents out there that don't know that this is something being sold. And it's new information to me, and I wanted to share it to other parents out there that may not know it.
Oh, no, I'm totally with you. And I agree. The parents need to do the parenting. I mean, we can't make everything illegal. Pencils can hurt people if they're sharp enough. We don't outlaw those. No, and
I'm not of the position saying that the vape shop owners and store clerks need to be the parents. I don't think that's the route to go either, and that's not the argument I'm trying to make whatsoever.
Right. We definitely don't want vape shop owners being the parents of America.
No, it's probably
you parent your own children.
Probably a slippery slope. Hey, thanks for the call, Pete. I appreciate you. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Here's Ken Weaver in the latest headlines.
11 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in our nation's capital, the date is set for the first hearing to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas over the growing illegal immigration crisis. Here's Jay O'Brien on Capitol Hill.
This is the product of a months-long investigation that the House Homeland Security Committee has been conducting into the administration's border policy and specifically into Secretary Mayorkas. And in a statement announcing that they were really escalating this impeachment probe into Mayorkas and attempts to impeach him, they said that he had, quote-unquote, egregious misconduct. Now, the Department of Homeland Security says that this is a waste of taxpayer dollars, but certainly House Republicans telegraphing that they're going to move forward with impeaching the Homeland Security Secretary.
First hearing is next Wednesday, and later today, hear from the chair of the committee that will conduct the proceedings. Tennessee Congressman Mark Green joins WTN's The Drive with Brian Wilson live at 4:05. Right now in Iran, the death toll is over 100 after blasts at a ceremony honoring a dead general.
Chaos in the aftermath of the first of two deadly blasts. The second one claimed more lives some 15 minutes later. A senior government official quickly called it the work of terrorists. It happened at the gravesite of General Soleimani, who was killed by a U.S. drone 4 years ago in neighboring Iraq. It comes amid wider tensions in the Middle East over Israel's ongoing war against Hamas in Gaza.
That's Tom Rivers reporting. And back here at home, encouraging news for would-be homeowners. The Federal Reserve signaling it could cut interest rates 3 times in 2024. Jessica Lotz is with the National Association of Realtors.
We do expect in 2024 that mortgage interest rates will continue to decline. They're down considerably. It opens up the affordability box for many potential home buyers.
We shall see. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Hand Show in full effect. I just want to say thanks again to our friend Fletch for that story on Galaxy Gas.
Heck yeah.
We got another suggestion for you, Mac.
Oh, yeah, what's that?
If you don't want to try the Galaxy Gas, you should do helium on your next newscast.
Just just want to get me to inhale something before I go on the air. Yeah. Makes sense. Gotcha.
Yeah. Also, remember that text where the guy was like, oh, well, if it's in cool colors, what about katanas and handguns? Colors? So Brian texted and he said, how many kids have walked into a gun shop and said, cool, sir, can you hand me that pink 9mm? So I responded back. I said, every kid ever, dating back to colonial times, I believe. That's what they start them on the pink ones. It's a slippery slope. Oh, geez. All right. I just saw a tweet here. And apparently, we will be getting Epstein stuff today. A federal court has announced, this is from 15 minutes ago, Patrick Webb on Twitter. A federal court has announced that the first batch of over 150 names associated with the Jeffrey Epstein case is expected to be released today. This is the most confusing thing ever. Is it going to come? Is it not going to come? The tweets go on. There's a thread that says the unsealing is expected to begin today. The district executive for the Southern District of New York, Ed Friedland, said the release of over 150 names cited in court documents pertaining to a civil case initiated by a Jeffrey Epstein victim has been postponed. But according to U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York, all right, so they're coming today, allegedly. But then it says down in the thread, according to a report from ABC News, court documents are anticipated to reference several well-known individuals, President Bill Clinton, da-da-da-da-da. But it also says, in the same thread, it says it will be January 22nd and in today. This is, the Epstein stuff it's starting to frustrate me. Probably never going to happen, right?
Yeah, it almost just seems like a distraction or something. I don't know.
It's like carrot and stick.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
What else is going on that they don't want us to know about? It's just frustrating. Hey, did you see that Best Buy has begun removing all the physical media from their stores?
Physical media as in like DVDs and stuff?
DVDs, yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
They've started removing all of them. The end of an era. Best Buy is stopping selling physical DVDs. They're saying that it's another nail in the coffin for DVDs. And, you know, I hate this. I feel like you have to own something physically if you think it's going, if it's yours, right? And I covered this story a while back about the PlayStation Network and Discovery, the Discovery Channel. There was this controversy because there was a dispute with PlayStation Network and Sony and the Discovery Channel, where if you had bought like Discovery shows on your PlayStation, they were being removed. And they were removed as of December 31st, 2023, due to their content licensing agreement. So anything you previously purchased online with Discovery on PlayStation Network would be removed from your library, even if you bought it. So now we're seeing Best Buy removing these DVDs from the store. And it's like, listen, what the World Economic Forum said in Klaus Schwab, you will own nothing and be happy. It's coming true before our very eyes. You will own nothing and be happy. And if you think you own something digitally, you don't. As displayed by Sony and Discovery Films. If you bought a Discovery film, it's been taken away on Sony Network because of a contract dispute, even though you bought it. Bought it. I did air quotes if you're listening on the radio. You bought it. Air quotes. You'll own nothing and be happy. Speaking of the World Economic Forum, they got a meeting later this month, big meeting, World Economic Forum. It's happening January 15th through the 17th. The World Economic Forum will be meeting in Davos, their 2024 meeting of the globalist elites. You know what it's about this year? You know what the theme of the meeting is?
What?
Trust.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of that going around.
Is there?
It's an abundance.
I feel like they've been just destroying the trust these past few years. So all the globalist elites that are hoping they won't be named in these Epstein documents are going to be meeting in Davos to talk about trust. It's trust. The World Economic Forum released a partial outline of just what is on the agenda at its mostly closed-door 54th annual meeting. It says it will provide a crucial space to focus on the fundamental principles driving trust, including, look, this is funny, it's a closed-door meeting, right? So they're going to focus on the fundamental principles driving trust at their closed-door meeting, including transparency. Oh, nothing says transparency like a closed-door meeting. Also, they're going to be focusing on consistency. Well, they've been pretty consistent on you'll own nothing and be happy. And accountability. Do these guys do any of these things? If anybody on the super text line can provide me an example of the World Economic Forum displaying transparency, consistency, and accountability, let me know. Let me know. Pretty weird. Consistency, accountability, and transparency. The introduction goes on in detail that the government officials from all over the world will be flying in on their private jets alongside other unelected representatives from groups interested in shaping the world of tomorrow. The world of tomorrow. It's my best Klaus Schwab. Is it pretty good?
Yeah.
Get some galaxy gas in you.
Yeah,
You'll
exactly.
Like that.
Then it would be good.
That would have been fire. The annual meeting will welcome over 100 governments, all major international organizations, 1,000 forums partners, as well as civil society leaders, experts, youth representatives, social entrepreneurs, and news outlets. The WEF, the World Economic Forum, boasted on its dedicated online site. Just who is attending and how will they achieve their lofty goals is still to be determined, but past critics have been quick to point out the hypocrisies of everyone involved in the event. The meeting traditionally offers a grab bag of issues discussed in hundreds of public sessions, as well as more secretive backroom deal making by business leaders and the upscale hotels along Davos Promenade near the conference center that hosts the gathering. This is the thing about these World Economic Forum meetings. They'll present one thing in public, and it's actually usually pretty shocking what they present in public. But the scary stuff is what they're actually talking about behind the scenes. That's the real meeting, not what they put up out front. So how did this all come about? As Breitbart News reported, Klaus Schwab took $6,000 in seed money in 1971 and transformed the World Economic Forum from a humble gathering of academics to the most exclusive club in the world. The World Economic Forum rakes in $390 million annually as it seeks to enhance its economic power and achieve political and social control. They'll be in this tiny alpine town that jet-setting billionaires and shadowy bureaucrats are plotting out the next decade of our lives after they have stepped from their private jets into the plush Swiss holiday resort and its secretive conclave. So I'll be following that. Again, the event is the 15th to 19th of January. I think I said 15th to 17th before, my mistake. And it's invitation only. Did we get our invite yet?
Still waiting. Still processing.
Still waiting. I wish they would just say that we're not invited this year.
I know, right? Just let us know. I'm here making plans. I'm booking hotels.
Literally have had it blacked out on the calendar. Like, don't put anything in here.
World Economic Forum coming up.
Yeah. Just got to figure out how to get it on a private jet to Davos. So that's coming up. That's exciting. Are you excited about that?
I can't wait.
I can't wait to find out what plans they have in store for us. It's fun.
We had a texter, Jay, text in 4152. I just sold 580 DVDs at my garage sale for $100. They came with a binder with all movies named and numbered.
You got lowballed, bro.
I know.
Got
That's
lowballed.
what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
$100.
Those are going to be worth their weight in gold. You'll own nothing and be happy. You just gave that man thousands of dollars worth of content.
Even if it's just worth, of nostalgia. I mean, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Why would you want to get rid of your DVDs?
I remember those binders too.
The binders.
Yeah.
Dude, I had a
numbered.
book of like CDs for my car.
Yeah. Oh, heck
Dude,
yeah.
people talk about distracted driving now with cell phones.
Yeah,
And I'll tell you
exactly.
what, when I was thumbing through my book of about 1,000 CDs, that was distracted driving at its peak. These kids that they're texting, they don't know anything about distracted driving. Thumbing through your CD book on the
100%,
highway,
that's it.
going 95. That was distracted driving. These
Getting the
kids-
cassette player in, plugging in your phone. Yeah, all that. Yeah.
These kids, they don't know what they're doing. They're not distracted. I'll show you distracted. All right. So somebody else said they sold a bunch of DVDs. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens with the World Economic Forum meeting. Oh, geez. Our friend Tim said you asked for an example of transparence, and transparence in parentheses, but he put transparence. In the World Economic Forum, they talk about that stuff all the time, and he sent me a link about how they're talking about transgender children. Yeah, that's a World Economic Forum thing for you. Thanks, Tim. Phil made a comment. DVDs will come back around just like vinyl records. They will. They will. So, I just think that the fact that everybody's moving away from physical media, you don't own it unless you can hold it. You don't own it unless you can hold it. That's my stance. And we have a DVD closet ready to go. All my stuff is on DVDs. So stand by what I say. And as far as the Jeffrey Epstein stuff goes, yeah. Our friend Aaron texted this. Nothing will happen. It's Lucy, Charlie Brown, and the football. Yep, you're absolutely right. Nothing will happen, and you will be happy. So there's other stuff happening in the world as we see. I've talked about this story before, and I wanted to update it. Do you remember the Blade Runners? They're the masked guys taking out the surveillance cameras in London. So in London, you have the ultra-low emission zones where the ultra-low emission zones, if you don't remember the story, if you have an older car in London, you're being taxed based on how old your car is. So this is a bit of good news. In a sea of gray, there's a group of men in London that have been taking down these cameras that monitor the ultra-low emission zone. So if you have an older car past a certain year, you're taxed for driving in an ultra-low emission zone, which is basically the city of London. So the left uses climate change as a weapon to gain more power and basically unleash this dystopian control over our lives. It's their moral pretext to trample on individual rights. And we saw it happen during COVID, and it was fun. Everybody had fun. Remember all the fun we had during COVID and the authoritarianism. Well, they've gone a step further in London with these ultra-low emission zones and put up cameras so that way they can tax you based on how old your car is. If you can't afford a new car, you can't afford a battery-operated car, you're taxed more for driving in London every single day. Well, there's a group of guys called Blade Runners in London, and they have been disabling, damage, or disappearing cameras in London that tax the average citizen. And in 2023, this is just three cheers for the Blade Runners. They took out 3,000 of these ULEZ cameras, ultra-low emission zone cameras. You remember those guys, right? The Blade Runners?
Yeah.
So the Blade Runners are at the forefront of a multifaceted peasant revolt that will continue into 2024. Mass noncompliance is our way out of this. With more people waking up every single day, we are winning. But this bleep is about to get a little tougher. So remember, we, the people, are the ones with power. Bring on the new year. That was a statement from the Blade Runners. And there's a picture of two guys dressed in all black. It almost looks like American Antifa, the way they're dressed in all black. But they're good guys. And they're holding cameras that they've taken out. So 3 cheers for the Blade Runners. We like the work that you're doing. I like them. Civil disobedience, baby. It's the way to go. And the group, I mean, they're risking a lot. They're doing the Lord's work. The European News says these self-proclaimed freedom fighters believe that London Mayor Sadiq Khan's extension of the scheme, which aims to improve air quality in the city, is an attack on their civil rights. Yeah, sounds about right. Some welcome the extension of the ultra-low emission zone, which aims to curb congestion and air pollution by making drivers of certain vehicles pay a daily fee. But extreme opposition is gathering steam, and I hope the steam continues to gather. It's 11:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. More Chris Hand Show on the way. Hang out with us.
The first hearing to impeach the Homeland Security Secretary is set, and a medical breakthrough in North Carolina, the world's first partial heart transplant deemed a success 1 year later. These stories at morning 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Sorry, I was a little delayed. Matt Murphy and I were discussing the intricacies of whippets. So he said, I can't believe you never heard of that. I heard of it. Just didn't know they were in vape shops. So I knew what they were. Now he's talking to Mac Maury about it. I feel like Matt, Matt can be part of our show. Like,
yeah, I know. He could come on.
Like, we like him.
I know. He's welcome on whenever.
Like, whenever. You want to debate it. No, just kidding.
Matt's going to a vape shop, he says.
He said, "Are you doing it right now?" You know what? I bet you Bell would do whippets on air.
That's actually, yeah.
He's got a fun producer.
Oh. Sorry, I won't inhale drugs on the air.
Okay.
Okay.
Makes sense.
All right.
Oh, don't use my kids against me.
I know, isn't that great? I get to use.
All right, so we got so much happening in the world that we have to keep our aim focused at times. And the biggest issue that we have is the border. And make no mistake about it, it's the border. That's the biggest problem that we have today. Now, Mayorkas was making the rounds this morning on all the talking head news shows, and he wanted to make it known that they're taking action on the border. Did you know that? Did you know that they're taking action on the border?
Wow.
I know.
They can do that?
I think so. That they already have.
So we have taken action on the border, and we've taken action with respect to the challenges that cities across the country are facing.
See? They have taken action on the border.
See, guys?
They have. They have. It's funny to me because when you hear Mayorkas say that they have taken action at the border, you're like, oh, okay, cool, good job. And then you see video from the border, and you're like, oh, it's not even, people from South America. It's all Middle Eastern men setting up guerrilla camps.
Hola, ¿de dónde son? Mexico? Where are you from? Egypt. Holy cow! Don't listen to Egypt, huh? Okay, where in America? New York, or Cairo? Are you going to New York or Chicago? Boston? Boston, okay.
Oh.
Egypt? Yes. Okay, far from Egypt to here, long journey. No English, huh? No English. Okay.
They're going to Boston. I'm shipping up to Boston. Whoa. You think they're banging the Dropkick Murphys on their way? No, just me. And there's tons of these guys.
How many days? Today?
Today, yeah.
Today, you got here today. All right. Well, thank you. All men, though. No family, no wives, kids? No, all by yourself.
No kids.
One.
It's too hard of a journey. You're not going to bring kids. No, of course not.
Wife? No kids?
لا مرته مش انا ما اقول له لا انت تقول له ده عنده عم خلاص.
No kids. They tell us that these are refugees and they're fleeing, with their families. No kids. No kids. No. No kids.
What do you think, man?
Crazy.
Yeah.
This is guerrilla camps. I mean, really what it comes down to,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other word for it. I mean, they have live-ins, they have yurts, permanent establishments. These are guerrilla camps.
Yeah. These are guerrilla camps. Nobody's surprised. Nobody's shocked. I mean, there was a point in time where we're like, this was a big deal. And now we're just like, oh, yeah, all right. More Middle Easterners at the border setting up guerrilla camps. We've become so desensitized to it. It's sad we've become so desensitized to it, but it's because we've been, berated by it day in, day out. We've seen it time after time after time. I mean, I saw it firsthand at the Phoenix airport. James O'Keefe is going to be releasing an expose today on the Phoenix airport and how they're bringing in migrants via bus to fly them into the interior of the country. And he speaks to some of these illegal aliens saying, are you going to be voting in November?
¿Estás pensando en votar en las elecciones en Estados Unidos?
Are you voting in the election?
Sí. ¿Qué? ¿Biden o Trump?
Biden or Trump?
Biden.
Biden.
Nos están dando oportunidad, Biden. Are you transporting?
So he said, are you voting in the election in November? Sí. Oh, yes. Okay. Well, it's good to know. Who are you voting for? Biden, he says. And the subtitles read, Biden gave us a shot. We're coming in and we're voting for Biden. This is what the plan is. They're replacing you, the voter, because they don't like you, the voter.
migrants to
So then he runs up on a guy that's bussing the migrants
porting
in.
migrants to the airport, sir. Shut the door right in my face. How did you fly here? Did you cross the border? Oh, you crossed the border. Where did you cross? In Arizona?
Yes.
You crossed the border illegally, against the law? Yes. Sir, who do you work for? Sir?
I work for Nunyo.
Who's-
Nunyo, your business, man.
I don't gotta leave anywhere. This is a sidewalk.
You have proof.
I'd like to have it on video. Sí, Biden, estás pensado en votar en noviembre, ¿sí?
Sí, primero Dios, sí. Si nos dan asilo.
Yeah, everybody's voting. We're all coming. We're voting in November. See. Oh, all right. That's cool. That's cool. Interesting. Well, and they're bringing in new voters because they don't trust you, the voters. In fact, the View was debating this the other day. I know it's the View, but they were debating. Is this? Oh my gosh, it's the news. I forgot about the news. I totally forgot about the news. I thought we were going to 11:48. I never do this. I was like, I'm in the zone. Sorry. All right, I'll do this. I'll do the View after the news, which happens right now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 2 minutes. And right now in our nation's capital, the first hearing to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is set for next Wednesday. Tennessee Congressman Mark Green is chair of the House Homeland Security Committee, which will conduct the hearing. He is among 60 Republican lawmakers touring the southern border in Texas today. He'll be a guest on WTN's The Drive with Brian Wilson live at 4:05. A medical breakthrough in North Carolina, the world's first partial heart transplant, deemed a success. 1 year later, the recipient's mother, Taylor Monroe.
We are just eternally grateful for our donor's family. Truly, Owen would not be here today.
Doctors at Duke Health integrating arteries and valves from a donor baby's heart into Owen's heart, and a year later has functioning heart valves and arteries growing with him as if they were his own. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. You often hear me talk about diversification in the investing process, but how do we diversify? Well, we look for things that move in dissimilar fashion historically. Some of those market areas might be really small companies or really large companies, or very growth-oriented companies or value-oriented companies. And one of the things that we find is that when we diversify between these various segments, we can reduce the volatility of the portfolio because they don't move in tandem with each other historically. Now, we can do that in U.S. markets, we can do that in international markets, and in emerging markets. And when we can dampen that volatility, we can help get ourselves a little bit of a better outcome as far as knowing what we might likely have in the future or how we can take income from our investment portfolio. Now, we also want to add fixed income or bonds to the mix as well. Now, if we know that we need to do this, what's the best way to do it? Well, one of the things that we often teach is this concept of market efficiency. This won the Nobel Prize in economics as well. And it's the idea that if I'm investing in, let's say, small value stocks, if we look at professional managers and their ability to say, hey, should I have this stock or that one, and picking companies or areas of the market, we find that they typically get lower returns than the market does on its own. They just add expense and they can add a lot of volatility. One of the things we want to avoid is anything that can hurt your returns and increase your risk in the investing process. To learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call or call 615-851-1950.
Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at Paul Winkler, Inc. If you don't have a financial plan for you and your family in the new year, it is time to get one. And I can't recommend a better team than Paul and Paul Winkler, Inc. Now, because Paul and his team hold themselves to a higher level of fiduciary standard, I have to tell you that I'm paid every time this commercial airs, and that's the truth. But listen, that's not why I decided to become a client of Paul's. I decided because after being a listener of Paul's radio show since I moved to Nashville and meeting with Paul and realizing he's the same guy that I heard on the air, honest, smart, legit, I was all in. Plus, Paul and his team do something that a lot of other guys don't do. They don't work on commission, which means that when they give you financial advice, it is for you and not for their bottom line because nothing is done on commission. If you don't have a financial planner, talk to Paul Winkler and Paul Winkler, Inc. Now, these guys are big on education, which is big for me. Because you can read things on the internet and go one way, go the other way, and kind of get yourself all spinned around and don't know which way's up. But Paul will sit you down and explain everything and educate you. And the education they provide is evidence-based and backed by Nobel Prize-winning research. So you should check these guys out. Every office is run by a degreed planner with over 20 years of experience. Every single office. And you can feel the difference between Paul's team and the rest because of that experience. So talk to one of his team members. Set up a complimentary 15-minute phone call right now on his website, paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com or call 615-851-1950. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I was laughing off the air. I totally forgot that we had to do the news at the bottom of the hour.
Yeah, you're very good about keeping track of the time, so that was rare.
I had no idea. Like, Mac made, like, the break sign to me. Like, we got a break. And I was like, I got nervous. I was like, did something big happen?
What did I do?
Like,
yeah.
Is there breaking news? Like, no, dude.
No, bro.
Just got to follow the
clock.
system, you know? Ken wants to do his newscast. No?
Yeah,
It's always about Ken Weaver, right? Get out of the way. Let Ken do his thing. Sorry about that. So, if you haven't heard that people hate you, well, I wanted to make that abundantly clear. And I'm going to make it abundantly clear because of The View. The View hates you as a voter. And we're being replaced at the border with new voters. So I played the James O'Keefe expose from James O'Keefe, formerly of Project Veritas, before he flew too close to the sun and they kicked him out of his own company. He's going to be exposing, what's happening at the Phoenix airport, how they're getting these people in, and how these illegal aliens are saying, yeah, dude, I'm voting in November. I'm voting for Biden. But that's their plan. They want to bring in new voters. They want to replace you. And it's because they hate you. And they don't want to leave things up to you. And The View displays that perfectly. They're basically debating about Trump being on the ballot, off the ballot, what's the right thing to do. And one of the members of The View is kind of reasonable, at least. She's saying, listen to David Axelrod and other big Democrats. If you take Trump off the ballot, people are going to think it's rigged. Oh, sorry, that's James O'Keefe. This is The View right here.
I would say here is that I actually agree with Governor Gavin Newsom and David Axelrod. These are Democrats, leading Democrats, that say this would really cause a division that's almost insurmountable. And as someone that believes January 6th was that bad, wait one second.
So what are you saying?
Wait, just 1 second. I don't think the Supreme Court's going to hold this. I think they're going to overturn it, and it won't just be the originalists. I bet it's a 9-0 vote. I actually don't think they will hold this.
So you think they should leave it to the voters or not?
I think they should leave it to the voters, but I think the...
Did you hear that? Joy Behar says, do you think they should leave it to the voters or not? She says, I think they should leave it to the voters. And Joy Behar goes, oh, no.
So you think they should leave it to the voters or not?
I think they should leave it to the voters, but I think the...
Oh, no. Saying the quiet part out loud. This is what they think of you. They think that you are so dumb that you shouldn't even be allowed to vote. You want to leave it to the voters?
So you think they should leave it to the voters or not?
I think they should leave it to the voters, but I think the...
Oh, no. Oh, no. That's a bad idea. Why, Joy? Because if they left it to the voters, do you think that people are going to vote Trump? Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Well, yeah, we are going to be voting for Trump. And part of the reason, a main reason, is the border. New polling is showing that Biden is underwater, and the biggest issue is the border. Shocker, I know. Can you believe that? People think he's mishandling the border. But seriously, the latest polling is showing that migration is a top problem in the 2024 election. Immigration will be the most important political issue for Americans in 2024. That's from the Associated Press. 35% cite immigration and the border wall as a top concern, an increase from 27% last year. That's the Associated Press. That's them. Crazy. It is a big issue. And finally, it seems like Mayorkas is about to get impeached. He reacted to the news this morning on Morning Joe.
We're just getting news this morning from Punchbowl News that the House Homeland Security Committee is formally moving ahead with impeachment proceedings against you, with the first hearing to be held a week from today. What's your reaction?
You mentioned earlier in our conversation that I joined the bipartisan group of senators to work on a legislative solution to a broken immigration system. I was on the Hill yesterday to provide technical advice in those ongoing negotiations. Before I headed to the Hill, I was in the office working on solutions. After my visit to the Hill, I was back in my office working on solutions. That's what we do in the Department of Homeland Security. That's what this administration is focused on, solutions to problems.
That's his reaction. My reaction, sir, is I'm going to dance around your question. Doing a dance. And I'm focused on solutions. We're focused on solutions.
Solutions to problems.
Okay. Well, finally, it seems like the GOP is also moving towards solutions to problems. And one of the big problems is Mayorkas. I said it yesterday, and I remember one of my first shows of 2023 was, right after New Year's. I was filling in, and it was old Kevin McCarthy, old Kevo back then, saying, day one, we're going to impeach Mayorkas. It took 365 days, a really long vote to get him in as Speaker of the House, and then another long process to get him out and get a new Speaker in. But here we are. Here we are, finally looking like we're going to impeach Mayorkas. Now, is that going to fix everything at the border? Of course not, because the policies are the problem, and the policies are from Joe Biden in the White House. And the policies are terrible, by the way. I don't know if you've been keeping score at home. They're terrible policies. And the Daily Caller has an exclusive about some of Biden's policies, including the Biden admin's watered-down vetting process for Chinese illegal aliens. And they got email receipts to prove it. Yeah, oh yeah. Listen, Joe and the Chinese, they're super tight. They're like the yin and yang, right? The Biden administration drastically simplified the vetting process for Chinese illegal aliens in April of 2023. In April of 2023, and this is according to an internal U.S. Customs and Border Protection email obtained by the Daily Caller News Foundation. The April 2023 email, which was sent by a Customs Border Patrol supervisor to a master list of about 500 Border Patrol agents, instructs the officials to radically reduce the number of interview questions for Chinese migrants apprehended after illegally crossing into the country, from roughly 40 questions to just 5 questions. Oh, you're looking forward to your stay? That's one. That's one. And we know that these Chinese immigrants, illegal aliens, have a vast network they're moving through South America. We've played the audio before where they're getting detailed instructions through their messaging apps. They have basically Chinese-only hotels in Colombia and all the way up through South America to get into America. We've seen the video where Chinese illegal aliens are crossing the border dressed very nicely with nicer suitcases than my daughter got for Christmas. Much nicer. Clean. But this scaling back of the interview process and fast-tracking the release of Chinese illegal aliens into the U.S., shocking. Shocking. This all the while the Chinese are flying spy balloons over our country, while the Chinese are operating police stations in our country, while the Chinese have biolabs in California. It's insane. And the policy change has accelerated the time it takes to process Chinese illegal aliens. It doesn't make America safer, says J.J. Carroll, a retired CBP deputy patrol agent. He said the final result is that dangerous Chinese illegal aliens will still be released into the U.S. This is just the government covering their A, he says, so they can say they vetted. I believe the government recognizes the threat of Chinese soldiers and spies that are pouring into America, and they want to try to identify these individuals. However, the same government does not want to stop the flow of illegal aliens or Chinese nationals. Just the bad ones, which is impossible. While previously agents could spend hours vetting a single Chinese illegal alien, the new guidance simplifies the vetting process by reducing the number of questions that agents are required to ask, and it speeds up the flow of their illegal immigrants into the U.S. I mean, this isn't me. This is a former Customs Border Patrol deputy patrol agent, J.J. Carroll, saying this. This is emails obtained by the Daily Caller saying this. The former law enforcement official who provided the email to the Daily Caller News Foundation said human smuggling operations quickly adapted to these new guidelines, coaching Chinese illegal aliens on how to answer the CBP's shorter list of questions. It was almost immediate where they knew what to say and what not to say, said the former official who requested anonymity in fear of U.S. government retribution. And I don't want to bury that. A whistleblower, a former official, requested anonymity about this in fear of retribution. Retribution.
Bingo.
There you go. Took me a couple tries. But the fear was from our government. Our government. Carell described these smuggling operations as highly coordinated, and he told the Daily Caller News Foundation that the illegal aliens are coached from the beginning of the journey. The stories are identical. The streets and the names they use just differ because of the nations they're from. Crazy, but not surprising. 11:48, it's Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.